Welcome to the Movers and Shakers podcast, where real students are doing real deals in the world of multifamily real estate. I'm Vince Gethings, the owner of the Wheelwell Profits Academy. Listen in as we dive into the journeys of driven individuals who are turning their dreams into reality. These people are just like you, taking action and making things happen. If you enjoy the show, please like, subscribe, and if you're ready to take action, check us out at wheelwellprofits.com to learn more about our incredible community. Let's get started.
This is Movers and Shakers, where we interview the upcoming generation of Make It Happen multifamily investors to share their story.
Welcome to the Movers and Shakers podcast. My name is Gino Barbaro, co-founder of Jake and Gino, multifamily investor, educator, father, mentor, and I'm joined by my co-host, my brosif, Joshua Ryan Rusin, community director of Jake and Gino. Josh, how are you doing today?
Gino, doing well, man. Very excited. I got a Peloton bike coming to the house a little bit later this month. Can't wait for that. Been going on some hikes and a lot of outside bike rides. So with the slowdown and everything like that, a lot of the simple pleasures in life that we take for granted, I've been able to enjoy a little bit more. How about you?
Josh, there was a little secret going on that we had Justin Bieber on the show this morning, but that didn't happen. So I think we got someone 10 times the Justin Bieber, right, Josh? So I'm excited because here is yet another Jake and Gino young student who's out there, who's crushing it, who's making it happen, who's not being held back by his limiting beliefs, who's really going out there, has a clear, concise strategy, even during the tough times. And that's why I wanted to interview him, because I want to know what has turned his life around, how he's been able to accomplish what he's accomplished at such a young age. And I wanted to share his story with the rest of the community.
Love it. Speaking of today's guest, we have Eric Fitzgerald. So Eric's a multifamily investor living and investing in Charlotte, North Carolina. His journey in real estate started in college when 2 years into being a pre-med major, the reality set in that he would be in school until his late 20s and hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt. He switched his major to business and found the possibility of living a life by design through real estate by listening to podcasts, reading books, and diving into bigger pockets. Eric then worked in 2 property management jobs during college to learn the business from the ground up, one near Philadelphia and one on his college campus. After graduating with a degree in business management, he moved to Charlotte, North Carolina, and is full-time in multifamily, working as an investment associate, having underwritten over $300 million worth of apartment communities for Humboldt Partners, a multifamily investment partnership in Charlotte. He has partnered with Humboldt Partners on his first multifamily deal and is looking to continue to grow his own portfolio through JV partnerships in the Charlotte market. Welcome to the show, Eric.
Thank you, Josh. Thank you, Gino. Happy to be here.
Thanks.
So, Eric, let's just get that out there. How old are you?
I'll be 23 next month.
Boom, and already closed on his first deal. So let's back this way up, right? So you go to school. What's the appeal of medical school? And when did you kind of realize the reality of what would happen? And then why did you pivot?
Yeah, so I think as I was kind of going through the coursework, through the chemistry and biology labs, I was quickly realizing I didn't enjoy it. And I didn't have enough of a light at the end of the tunnel. I didn't have a good enough reason to why I wanted to be a doctor or to be an orthodontist. And I think I had a real big kind of shift in my mindset when I realized, I can do what I want. I can make stuff happen. Why go to school for this long? Why be in this much debt? If I can be a business major and really, make it how I want to do it. So, that was a big change in my life. And I started researching a lot and trying to figure out what I wanted to do.
So what was that paradigm shift? What made you have that shift in your mind?
I think it was just a realization I didn't have a good reason to why I wanted to be a doctor. And I realized I could live that kind of lifestyle and a lifestyle by design and make an impact on people, without going to school for that long, without getting into that much debt. And I quickly realized real estate was the avenue that I could achieve that.
So walk me through your mindset. There's an ROI there, right? You're a young person. Most people don't understand that ROI. Did you look at it? Wow, I'm going to have $300,000 in student debt. I'm going to have a mortgage payment even before I start paying. I'm going to have to defer making money, the opportunity costs. Like, walk me through that. So then if there's anybody young out there who's struggling with it and saying, well, the norm is I need to go to school. I need to get debt. I need to get a good job. Walk me through your thought process.
Yeah, that's a great point. I hope it will help people that are in that same situation. I think the appeal of being a doctor, especially when you get out of high school, you don't know what you want to do, right? I mean, they try to tell you that you should, but I wasn't mature enough mentally. I didn't have a good enough reason to why I wanted to pursue that, and quickly realized, the debt was already piling up. I'm going to be in school for 8 to 10 more years. Why am I doing this? And then, you read the books, you read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, you read all these different kind of books and listen to all these podcasts and listen to people like you guys. You realize that you can really live an impactful lifestyle, without making that sacrifice of getting into that much debt and going to school for that long.
So for everybody out there, a mini framework, because we like to work with frameworks at Jake and Gino. The first thing you need to do when you're going to college, there is no right or wrong answer. If you want to be a doctor and that's your calling, great. Focus on that. What Eric had is he had clarity at a young age. Most adults don't have that kind of clarity. So it's important to understand what you want to do. And I think don't let the DR or don't let symbols or that take over you and make you feel like that is going to make you the person that you're going to be. You don't need to go to college to become a doctor to feel impactful. You can do so many other things. I'm actually letting both of my children who are younger go to life coaching school because that's the clarity. And my son, he's only 17 years old. He's already taken 2 classes, two calls with a life coach going through the program. And it's amazing the transformation that I've seen in those 2 calls, because he's like, wow, I can really help people out. I can talk to people. I can let go of their fears and let them talk through their situations. And to me, that was really powerful. So I think the first thing is clarity. The second thing I think is really knowing what you want to do, knowing how you want to impact the world. And I think Eric, through that lens, is like, I don't have to go into medical school to do that. I can help people out through the business world. So once you did that, what did your parents say?
I was lucky. They were very supportive, and I had really gone all in on it. I was working part-time at a medical office during school. I was pretty into it. But they were supportive. I was really lucky to, they knew once I found something, I was really going to take a hold of it. I had been built with a strong work ethic through them, and super lucky to have parents like them. So they knew, I think that I would figure it out, but I certainly didn't have it figured out in the beginning. But they knew I would get it, and I would take a hold.
So that's important for all the parents out there that are listening. Listen to your children, because they know ultimately what they want. And if the parents had forced Eric into continuing to go on, he'd probably be miserable. He'd probably be like, Mom, Dad, you're not listening to what I want to do. So I think ultimately we have to treat them like adults. And if they're great kids and we've raised great kids like Eric, we should listen to them, and we should say, how can we help you out? Because that's what parents are there for. We're there to listen. We're there to champion our kids. We're there to help them out ultimately. And all we want, Eric, is happy kids. I mean, would you think you'd be as happy now as if you were going through medical school right now? Or do you think you are where you are right now and you're really like, damn, I'm glad my parents really helped me out?
Oh yeah, definitely. It's probably a 180-degree difference. Yeah.
That's awesome. So the next thing is, when you start going into the business world and you start going to college and you graduate college, how did you find the Jake and Gino community?
So I'd been listening to your podcast actually in my junior year when I first made that switch. So it's a cool kind of moment to be a guest now on the show I was listening to in the beginning.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, I mean, I was familiar with you guys from the Bigger Pockets, platform. And then, I moved down here to Charlotte, and I'd been talking with Josh, on a couple phone calls. And I told him, once I move down, I'm going to join the community, and, I'm going to make this happen. And, he was awesome, communicating with me, and ended up finding you guys. And really it became my new kind of social circle. And I just moved away from all my friends in Pennsylvania after graduation. And, it became my new circle of influence. And I went to Knoxville like 2 weeks after. I met like so many people. I met Josh, I met Jake, I met Darren Light. I met all these different, people, and really it became, like I said, my new point of reference. I saw these people making it happen, and I wanted to join that.
Yeah. So Eric, I want to dive more into your story, because you took a lot of steps that listeners can use and emulate in their life that's created the success you have. So you discover real estate in college, and then at that point, what made you go out and seek a property management job? What made you decide you wanted to do that?
Yeah, so I had gotten basically a foundation of knowledge through reading the books and listening to the podcast, but I knew there was more to learn, and there was more to experience through an actual work experience. So I went to a career fair and met a guy who sold cable contracts to apartment communities. And through him met a guy who worked at Morgan Properties, which is a company out of Philadelphia. They own, I think, about 75,000 units, and was able to get into a summer internship with them. And really was just a property management intern. And I worked on a 771 unit property, learned all the systems, learned how to lease, how to manage the different financial aspects of it, Yardi. So learned a lot there. But then after that internship, I knew I wanted to get closer to the ownership. So I moved back to school. And in my junior and senior year, I worked for a student housing investor on the campus. And that was an awesome way that really took me out of my comfort zone. I started out as a snow shoveler for him, and, built into a management role, a sales role. I sold, $900,000 worth of leases for him. And, he had me posted up on Main Street, and this is not my personality, but had me posted up on Main Street and flagging down, my peers, my, other students, asking them if they wanted to rent an apartment. So I got out of my comfort zone a lot.
Love it. So you're reading all this content, consuming it, and then you're getting this hands-on in the field experience. What were your biggest takeaways, and what was different from what you were learning versus what you were experiencing? Talk a little bit about that.
It's a great question. I think in the real experience of it, especially in the student housing work I did, he was a real entrepreneur, and it's very easy to kind of look at real estate as this, step-by-step process. But I mean, there were challenges every day that he was facing that you can't read in a book. And I think it comes down to more of your perseverance and the reason why you want to get into real estate. It's really easy to read in a book and look at how much cash flow you can make from making these investments. But, there's real challenges that come up, and I was able to see that firsthand, from him, and how he was able to overcome those and still be successful.
Well, Josh, there's a few points. Let me make this right next. I want everyone to write this stuff down. The first thing is, what you focus on will grow. Eric was focusing on our podcast, and guess what? He's on our podcast. That wasn't by accident. That's by hard work, right? Good things come to those who work hard. Remember that. That's number one. Number two, it's never the right time to get into real estate. Eric's a junior in college. He doesn't know what he's doing. He has no money, but he got into it. He got into it at the peak of the market. Guess what? He's here now, and it's only the right time when you focus on it. The third thing, Josh, is pay to play or seek to serve. I think Eric's done both, and it's served him really well. And I think everyone who's super successful in life goes by that mantra. And I think, Josh, we had done a great podcast with Chris Robinson. He's the leadership coach. He mentioned education times action equals results. That's the Jake and Gino mantra. But what he had said is knowledge, experience, and coaching / education, masterminding, paying forward. So Eric, you followed that beautifully. You got the knowledge, then you got the experience of working somewhere, and then ultimately you're doing the coaching. You're going through the program with Jake and Gino. So everybody out there, there's the blueprint. As Jake likes to say, there's the yellow brick road. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of persistence, but having that clarity, like Eric said, it's challenging every day. There's things that come up, but if you have the persistence and the clarity, you're going to really, you're going to really, push forward and say, I got this. Josh, you want to add anything to that?
No. I love it. So I want to pick back up to Eric's story. So Eric, here's a question I have for you in all honesty. So you get some experience in the field. You've been educating. Most people would say, I don't need a community. I can do it on my own. I can piece it together. But you're different, right? You realize that you could accelerate your results and get there faster. For someone that's in your position, you're young, they want to get into real estate and making it happen. I guess, what advice would you give them? Because obviously we'll talk about the results you have and how you've created them. But if you could go back, let's say, to that junior year in college and talk to that version of yourself, that student, what advice would you give them now?
Yeah, I think it's been a theme throughout. I think it's, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. I think finding people that have done what you already, what you want to accomplish. When you look at guys like yourselves, you have done, 10, 20x what I want to do. So how is that going to hurt me by being around you guys, right? It's only going to increase. It's only going to help me, get to where you guys are at. So, and that's been a theme. I worked for the student housing investor. He had, 600 student tenants as an independent owner. People like that have already accomplished some of the things that you want to accomplish. So
Mhm.
I think there's nothing better you can do for yourself than add value to those kind of people.
Love it. And that actually segues really great into, so you join the community, start connecting with like-minded individuals, and actually you meet some of your current partners through the community. Let's talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. So Josh and Thomas are Humboldt partners. They're based here in Charlotte. And I met them they were looking for underwriting help in the Jake and Gino community. And they posted it in the Facebook group, and I responded probably like 2 seconds after. And because, they're local here in Charlotte, they have 93 units now with this latest deal. And they're JV partners, they're ex-corporate guys, they're, the highest integrity people that, you could ever get yourself around. And so I've been super, super lucky to surround myself with them. And over the last 9 or 10 months, I've been immersed in their business. I mean, daily calls with them. I've been underwriting their deals, helping with asset management. So I've gotten a ton of experience through learning from them. And I actually met them through the Jake and Gino community.
Love that. Now, Eric, so you mentioned that you're lucky to find them, but I truly think they're lucky to find you with the seek to serve mindset you have, the growth mindset, how you truly embrace education and learning and then go out there and implement it. I think you're a true value add to their business.
So Josh, I'd like to add something also. Eric, you've adopted the go-giver mentality, right? You're giving a lot, but you're also receiving in return. So everybody should go out there and read the book, The Go-Giver by Bob Burg, because that's what Eric's doing. He's ultimately giving a skill that he has, but he's also learning from his partners. And I think that's what the great partnership does. They lend each other resources. They're out there holding themselves accountable. There's an accountability piece also. Can you speak to the accountability piece from the community that you've gotten?
Yeah, so I can speak actually directly to it. I have an accountability pod with a few of the younger guys in Jake and Gino. And so we have monthly meetings, and we'll give ourselves rewards or consequences based on if we accomplish our goal. So I think Jade Rowe has one. I think he has to eat something disgusting and send a gift to us if he doesn't hit his goal. So, but it's awesome. It's like-minded guys, all in their 20s or 30s. And, we keep each other accountable, and I really look forward to those monthly meetings, and that was set up through the community.
I love that.
Let's dive into your current deal, because I mean, obviously that's super awesome. At your age, I didn't have what you have currently. So let's talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. So the deal's it's a 12 unit. Do you want me to get into numbers or just talk?
Yeah, let's go.
All right. So it's a 12 unit deal. It's here in the Charlotte Metro. It's about 15 minutes from the airport. And the thing we really liked about it was the location. Josh and Thomas, they already have assets in that area. They already have a competent property manager already in that market, already managing some of their properties. So the way we found it was a cold call. I had cold called the owner. She had it under contract actually when we first spoke, and I asked her what the closing date was, and so she told me. And I called her the day of the closing, and it actually had fallen through. So, and she was an elderly lady, and, was really kind of down that this fell through on her. So I knew that we could do it. So I met her on the property probably a day or two after, went through, actually met with her on her, around her kitchen table with Josh, really developed a good relationship with her. And, there's a whole story to it, but I'll try to keep it kind of short. We originally agreed, on a purchase price of around $30,000 a unit, around $340,000. And then we actually were not able to get any units at that time, which came back to bite us. She didn't have the keys, and it was very mom and pop. She was managing them herself. During due diligence, we were able to actually get any units. And she had told us they were in good condition. They were built in 1987. So we were like, okay, they should be in all right condition. We got in, and they were really not in great condition. Just a few years of deferred maintenance, and just they're going to need a pretty gut rehab. Mm-hmm. So, our rehab budget went from probably 150 to max of 300. That's like top. Mm-hmm. So we had to renegotiate a purchase price. We were able to renegotiate for 250, which is about 20 a unit. Renovation will be max probably 25 a unit. So we'll be all in for 45 a unit. And the rents post renovation will probably be around 650, maybe 700. Mm-hmm. So that's where we're at.
So Eric, going through the education, just take yourself back. If you hadn't had the education or the experience, what mistakes would you have made on this deal? Like, what did you learn? Like, I mean, the due diligence is a really important piece, but even the rapport building, even the negotiation tactics, what really stood out in the education that really helped you on this deal?
Yeah, man, I really think even stepping back a little bit from the specifics, I think just the whole mindset of trying to develop that relationship with the seller is something that I learned through the community.
Mm-hmm.
Just really being genuine. And another thing that happened in that deal was COVID came through, and we closed in early April, which was like the spike of where nobody knew what was going on.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody knew what was happening, and that was like peak hysteria. We had to back out of the bank financing because we wanted to be well capitalized, and we were able to negotiate seller financing, which is something that I learned about through the community. So I can't speak on enough. I mean, it wouldn't have happened if I didn't have the education and B didn't have the partners.
So seller financing. So seller financing is going to become prevalent in this economy right now in the next 6 to 12 months where we are in the market cycle. Are you going to be, what is your long-term strategy with this deal?
Yeah. So with COVID right now, we're holding off on the renovation just because Thomas and Josh, they want to be well capitalized. I think we're on the tail end of it, but we'll see. They want to be well capitalized. So right now we're taking care of necessary repairs. We're kind of just coasting with the current tenants, taking care of them. And then post COVID, we're going to do a full, $25,000 per unit renovation. We're going to raise rents probably up to $650 or $700. And it's going to be a long-term hold. So we're gonna refinance her out, get bank financing on it, finance the rehab, and then hold it long-term.
So I can see that Eric watched the video on the 3 pillars of real estate, right? The 3 pillars are market cycle, debt, and exit strategy. Everybody write that down. So the market cycle, it's amazing because in this part of the market cycle, it changed in the last 2 months. We went from a seller's market cycle to a buyer's. So that affects the debt. Right now, it's very hard to get financing. So what did Eric do? He used seller financing in this part of the market cycle because he knows how to use that. And also, that debt component is used, and he's going to refi and roll the deal into bank financing once he's got this asset stabilized. And the other thing is the exit strategy. So he's focusing on his exit strategy. That's why when I asked him right away, boom, 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 he knows the market cycle. He knows the kind of debt. He knows his renovation plan, and he knows that his exit strategies, he wants to hold this thing long-term. So that's an amazing, amazing strat. I love that strategy. So what I want to do with you is $25,000 per unit. That is, you're going to be doing a complete rehab on these things, huh?
Yes, and that includes some exterior work. There's some decks on the back we're going to replace for just safety reasons, and then there's a well on the property we're probably going to connect to city water just for the long-term stability of it.
That is awesome. So what are you looking to do long-term now that you've got this deal down? What are your goals going forward in multifamily?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've been really fortunate to be working with Humboldt Partners, and I've developed a lot of good local relationships here in the Charlotte market. And so there's 2 avenues. I'm continuing to work with Humboldt Partners, but I'm also, developing relationships with brokers and lenders and starting to start my own, path of investments. So that's kind of, I want to build small to medium sized portfolio here in the Charlotte market and continue with the bread and butter.
So before we go to the short answers, what compelled you to go to Charlotte? What did you like about that market?
So that's an interesting story. So I was born and raised in Pennsylvania. I went to school in the same small town I grew up in. So it was half of I need to get out of this town and experience something new.
Mm-hmm.
And the other half was my parents and I and some of my family members have been coming to this area since I was probably 12, 13 years old. For a week in the summer, we'd go out and tube and stuff on a lake down here. So I have a lot of good memories here. I always knew it was a beautiful area and kind of just fell into it and then realized how good the demographics were and how good the growth story was kind of after I moved. So I was really lucky in that sense. So
you moved, is there anybody living down there right now, or are you down there by yourself right now?
I'm down here by myself. My parents are in South Carolina, so they're a little bit closer, but I'm the only one here in North Carolina.
So everybody out there, I don't want to hear any excuses. I'm too young. I'm all by myself. I don't want to hear that right now, because that's not an excuse. Because if you know what you want, you will be like Eric. You've been living in a small town in Pennsylvania your whole life, but you know you want to go. And I asked Charlotte, because Charlotte's an amazing city to invest in multifamily right now. Going long term, the demographics are great. You have a great airport there. You have the infrastructures built in. The city still has room to grow. You have people moving there. You have a lot of corporate headquarters, a lot of jobs. You know, the weather could be a little bit better. I'm a Floridian, so it could be a touch better, but you can't have everything in life, right? Yep. But still, there's so many amazing things. So once again, everybody out there, stop making those excuses, right? Josh, let's take a quick time out to hear from our sponsors.
Is your money working as hard as you are? At RAM Partners, we partner with hardworking investors who are seeking true passive income through multifamily real estate. Partnering with RAND means transparent communication with our webinars, monthly statements, and newsletters. For more information, visit randpartners.com to register for our investor portal and to set up a call with our team.
All right, Eric, I got some short answer questions for you. So what's your favorite book you've ever read and why?
Yeah, so I think my favorite book is actually sitting right behind me. It's The Millionaire Real Estate Investor. So this is the first book I ever read about real estate. I've got highlight marks all in it. So I remember reading this when I was a junior in college, and that was kind of the first book that really laid the path out, and it gives a lot of good case studies on people that have done it. And so that was what kind of opened my eyes to real estate.
Love that.
Yeah, that's awesome. What about your favorite or best habit for success?
I would probably have to say two things. Probably reading. I try to read every night. I had a goal for a book every 2 weeks that I've been keeping up with this year. And then I would say the other thing, I use a journal called the Best Self Journal, and just allows you to plan your days out every night and then plan your weeks out. And it's built in 90-day sprints. So it doesn't allow you to kind of take your foot off the gas.
Awesome. Yeah, I love that journal. I have one on my desk. I kind of fell off though with it, but it's a good journal. All right. So there's been a ton of golden nuggets in here, and a few things I really want to focus on that has created the success Eric has, and also put him on a path that he's currently on. One is the go-giver mindset, right? A seek to serve and always trying to add value. 2 is getting massively educated. And then 3 is taking action, going out there and implementing, getting outside his comfort zone. Gino, what else do you have to add to that?
Well, Josh and Eric, there's a few things that resonate with me. I wish I had done this sooner in my life. I mean, I did. I had focus in my life. I knew what I wanted. I wanted a business. I just chose the wrong vehicle. It was a restaurant, right? If I had learned the business principles, I could have probably franchised the model, but it was different than multifamily. Multifamily is such a scalable business. It's such an easy business to implement systems if you know how to do that. And I think Eric displayed tremendous focus. And he displayed tremendous clarity at such a young age. If you can put focus and clarity, and the third one I just took from it is being intentional. If you're intentional and you don't waste time and you focus on what you need to do daily, those daily tasks become weekly tasks, which become quarterly. And then all of a sudden, that system that you implement, you're falling in love with your actions, you're going to hit your goals. Goals are the results, right? Actions and the systems and the process is what you need to get to those goals. So being intentional and what you focus on will ultimately grow. And I think, Josh, the last part is, remember that knowledge plus experience and then coaching / masterminding will ultimately get you to where you want to go.
Love that. All right, Eric, listen, you're absolutely crushing it. I think you're an absolute asset for anyone that's looking to invest in the Charlotte market. I mean, how can anyone get a hold of you? How can they reach out to you?
Yeah, if they're interested in getting into the Charlotte market, you can email me. My email is Eric, ERIC, at Fitz, FITZ, assetmanagement.com. So Eric at fitzassetmanagement.com.
Boom. Well, Eric, I want to thank you for being an amazing guest on the show and sharing your movers and shakers story. Now, guys, if you want to be the next movers and shakers guest, email me, Josh at jakeandgino.com. And listen, if you like the show, please leave us a review. And until next time, let's make it a movers and shakers week. See you, everybody.
Thanks,
Thanks,
guys.
everybody. Thanks, Eric.
Hey, Gino, the 2 most common questions I've been asked are, how do I get into real estate and do my first deal? The other question, how do I scale my real estate portfolio? Well, gang, we have great news for you. Gino, tell them about it.
We can help you answer both of those questions. At jakeandgino.com, we offer a variety of micro courses to help you along your real estate journey. Our proprietary 3-step framework has helped hundreds of real estate entrepreneurs successfully get started in real estate with no experience, and it has also helped experienced real estate entrepreneurs take it to the next level.
If you want more information, visit www.jakeandgino.com/courses. That's JAKEANDGINO.com/courses, and use coupon code PODCAST for 20% off your purchase on taking the next step in your multifamily journey.